Today's topic, Dina Dmalchus, Dina, is broad. It encompasses a lot of different issues. We'll begin by going through the Makar and the Gemara, where the Gemara speaks about this halacha of Dina Dmalchus, Dina, and we'll try to explain the what and the why of Dina Dmalchus, Dina, and then we could see how in a modern day, in our day, lives, how it applies. So let's begin by Pashut translation. Dina Dmalchus, Dina, the law of the land. It's a simple translation. Law of the land is law. Where is the shaila? What's called Dina and what's called Malchusa? Now it becomes complicated. Halacha seems pretty simple. Dina Dmalchus, Dina. Got to follow the laws of the land. What's called laws and which Malchusa? What's called a Malchus? A government included. What's Malchus? Malchus is simply a king, a Malchus. What's included in Malchusa? So the truth is, Dina Dmalchus, Dina is Shmuel's halacha. So remember, it's not all over Shas. Whenever you're going to hear the word Dina Malchus, Dina, remember you'll see Amar Shmuel, Amar Shmuel. It's Shmuel who said, Dina Dmalchus, Dina. Interesting. Before Shmuel, what did they say? What do you mean? Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said Dina Dmalchus, Dina. What does that mean? Shmuel invented Dina Dmalchus, Dina. It's an interesting ha'ara. And as the shir progresses, we'll maybe understand better why it's Shmuel's invention. Let me give you a little hint. We don't know if what the makar of Dina Dmalchus, Dina is, and if there is one. In the Gemara, you're not going to find not the makar and not the reason why Dina Dmalchus, Dina, which is going to lead the way to have a very fierce machlokes, many rishonim, the where this comes from and the why. And of course, that's going to be the nafkaminas in halacha. If you understand the where it comes, what's the makar and the why, it's going to have a lot of nafkamina. But in pshatov of the Gemara, as we begin, v'ha'omar Shmuel, it's Shmuel. Shmuel is the mechadish of Dina Dmalchus, Dina. So you're going to find it in 4 places. When you look at the Gemara right away on the side, the Gillian is going to send you to 4 Mekairis of Dina Dmalchus, Dina v'Amar Shmuel. So let's begin with Gittin. The Mishnah says, Kol ashtarais ha'aylim barkoyis shel oivei kechavim af al pi shechesmeihem oivei kechavim ksherim. Documents that are goyish, I guess for lack of a better vernacular, a goyish document, right? The halacha is it's a kosher document, and even if it's not signed by Yidden, it's binding according to Yiddish halacha. The Gemara says, Kapasik v'tani, loishna mecha, loishna matana. It's mashma, all documents are kosher. Whether it's a mecher, a sale, a deed of sale, and whether it's a proof, a lot of times you have a star, it's just to prove something. It seems in the Mishnah, Leishna, says the Gemara, but why? Bishloi Mishtaraya. All right, it's you have a paper and it's signed by people, it's a raya. But if it's to make a mecher, says the Gemara, mecher means this itself is the binding force behind the mechira, but it's not a real star. We know there's a sugya called star mechira. Wait a minute, says the Gemara, Kapasi v'tani loishna mecha loishna matana bishleim mecha mechiyav zuzi kamayu hu the kana, because we don't need the star, because the money itself is binding. But by says the Gemara, had the kana v'shtar raya ba'almahu. The lav yoiv zuzi kamayu lav the mer nafshayu v'kazvin leishtar elo matana. What about matana? Says the Gemara, b'mai kakani la b'haishtar v'ashtar chas b'alma. It's not a real star in halacha. not a star that has kinyani koyach al pi the Torah. We know there's a star in the Torah. On this, the Gemara says, Mashmul Dina Dmalchus Dina, since it is binding in the legal courts, and mainly we have Dina Dmalchus Dina. So this is the first place where we find Dina Dmalchus Dina. Okay. Now, what is this Dina Dmalchus Dina? That's that the judicial, the legal, the courts, their koyach, they have the strength to make law. So therefore, if it's a legal document, it's accepted in halacha in the Torah. Dina, the Malchus Dina. I see you working on every word I'm saying to, not say, oh, that's an old kasha. Well, you know the sugya. So the question is where it comes from, then we'll know if it's the Raisa D'Rabbanan. But before we get there, what is it? What is Dina Malchus Dina? And the answer is court. When the courts accept a legal document, it's accepted in halacha. That's what we have over here. See, it's not only a shtaraya, but even a shtar matana that actually makes the kinyan. It's not that complicated. See, everybody's trying. I'm not saying anything that deep. It's a very simple thing. Mr. Chaloya? Yep. Good. Bring me your papers, and anything I sign that your government law, it's a legal document. It works. The jurisdiction. Okay. The Gemara in Nedarim is the famous one and the most, so to speak, controversial. The Gemara in Nedarim Chaches Amud Aleph speaks about taxes. And the Gemara says, are you allowed to evade taxes? Are you allowed to make a neder to promise that you did pay or you don't have to pay your taxes? Says the Gemara, Chazal said, you're allowed to make such a neder. It doesn't make a difference if you're trying to evade the taxes. It's called nidrei einsim, and you could evade the taxes. Says the Gemara, evading taxes, Dina, Dmalchus Dina. That you're not allowed to evade taxes because of Dina Dmalchus Dina. So that's tax. Legal documents. That's all we have so far. The Gemara Baba Kama speaks about confiscation of property. You know, they make bridges and they make all types of roads.
Eminent domain.
Exactly, eminent domain. Which means they're able to take your property and build on it. What right does another Yid have to drive on property that was taken from Chaim David, his friend? And the Gemara says that's Dina, the Malchus Dina. So we have eminent domain government property. That's Nedarim. Baba Basra, Nudalit Amid Beis, yes.
Baba Kama didn't talk about land. Talked about the bridges and the eitzim.
What is eitzim? Eitzim is karka. Eitzim is metaltalim.
Yeah. You cut down a tree, it's metaltalim.
What right do I have to make a road in somebody else's field?
The Gemara doesn't talk about that. The Gemara talks about the eitzim of the bridge.
Yeah, but what about the gishri, the bridge itself, the Gemara says, and you're allowed to go through the bridge. It's both. The Gemara speaks about,
The Rashi seems to say that you stop just of the thing, you could charge you for it, right?
I could charge you for going on the bridge, right?
Right.
They do charge you going on the bridge.
It's my trees they cut down.
Yeah, but that's also but there's also karka involved. And also, one second. I see I'm going to have a rough time with this. I see. I see we have our days cut out for us.
What I'm saying is I agree with you. There's eminent domain on karka, but that's not in the Gemara. The Gemara we talk about the Talmud.
But what is gishri? Gishri means they make gishri and they make. The Gemara speaks about both cases.
Oh, okay, maybe I don't know enough for the Gemara. Fine.
The Gemara speaks about making bridge. What do you mean? The only thing you have is wood to make a bridge. I can make a wood to make a house. It's about also the path. They're taking land and they're confiscating land. And what's the point of the Gemara? That they own. There's an ownership that the government has, that they're able to have property. Property is not, so to speak, you're the boss, the government is the boss. Still not. So let me tell you Gemara Baba Basra. The Gemara Baba Basra discusses, can I buy with money karka? And the answer is, of course, Moyes Kainais. in the legality of Bavel, you needed to have some kind of a document. Mistama today also, you can't just go buy property. It has to be with shtaris. So the Gemara wants to know, if I bought with money, does that enough lahalacha? Or if I didn't have the shtar, if I don't have any transaction done by a legal paper, the kinyan is not kani. V'amar Shmuel, Dina Dmalchus Dina. All right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do it with you. Let's go. You ready? So give me the 4 cases. Let's see the 4 cases and what's the common denominator. The first case is shtaris, legal documents. If you look at Rashi, Bezdin. Rashi refers to the Bezdin of Akum, which means the judicial. The judicial has a koyach, a Bezdin. Many Rishonim, as we soon will see, seem to say it's more of B'nai Noach Mitzuvim Aladinim. So therefore, their courts are able to set policy. Does that have to do with the government per se, per whole? Not clear in the Rishonim. Many Rishonim discuss that. But from Rashi and the case of the Gemara in Gittin, the story is court. Courts have a koyach, a legal authority, to make rule. Nidarim is taxes, and I will not discuss taxes because I'm a smart guy.
Yes.
Okay, next. Okay? But that's, we understand.
Not like that you have to pay, let's say the emperor said, all Jews have to pay $10,000.
So the Gemara actually says that where it's not fair the taxes, it's ein loy kitzva, which means is it's not legal, it's not distributed fairly, the rules, then you could avoid it. Like I said, I will not touch taxes today. Please, I beg. It's a legal holiday. What? So it's Dina Dmalchus. Okay, you hear? So I'm not touching taxes. Please don't go there. Privately, you can come over to me. I'll tell you about taxes. Okay. The next case we have is and that is that they're able, like he said, eminent domain. They can come and confiscate your land, your properties, and say, "Listen, it's ours." And Baba Basra seems to be more in the business, the commerce. They set the rules of commerce. If they say kinyanim need a shtar, you can't just make a kinyan, I pay and that's it. It has binding rules lahalach. Okay. What else is included in Dina Dmalchus Dina? A lot. And it's complicated because we need to fully understand, like I explained before, what is the makar and the why, and then we could apply it. Interesting, like I mentioned, it's not in the Gemara. V'ha'omar Shmuel. Shmuel said. Why did Shmuel say it? Where did he get it from? Not clear. So if you look at the Rishonim, they argue on this question. The most simple of all is the Tshuvas HaGainim Siman Samach Vav. You gotta live in peace. Shalom with the Medina. That's it. You live here. Let us say, for a lack of better term, Hakaras HaToiv. Listen, you're living among people. When in Rome.
Is that Darchi Oilam or?
Yeah, it's Darchi Shalom, Darchi Oilam, Menschlichkeit, Midas, Hakaras HaToiv. Any musha shmooze you want to put into it, that's it. Depends on which yeshiva you go to, which Rosh Yeshiva wants to learn a musha shmooze from this halacha. Okay? Whatever it is, the halacha is get along with your neighbors. That's the story. All right? You get along with the people around you and appreciate the government. What's today? A legal holiday? Shkoyach America. Good. So Zaina Zay. So this is in Tshuvas HaGainim. Where becomes the question, what happens if they're not going to know about it, that I didn't listen to the rule? It's not going to cause a big friction. It's not a problem. They don't care. They turn a blind eye. It's gates in the shun. So then it's not a problem. La halacha. If the whole thing is that I have to respect, so to speak, that I can't cause friction and tensions, if they don't care, they don't care. So possibly you could come and say all the non-enforced things that they don't really care about. There was no Dina, the Malchus Dina, because it's not inherently halacha. It's a good svara. I said this to many Gedolei Yisrael, many poskim over the years. It's an interesting horror. If in my own house, where they don't know the difference, is there's still legally something called Din Dmalchus Dina Lahalacha.
And if you know for sure, they're not going to find out. I mean, you know. Right?
Yeah, so that's a maybe they'll find out.
Whatever. But that's the point. In a case where they won't find out, where they don't care.
They don't care.
Not a bind. It doesn't nichlal them.
And you'll be shocked to know how many such cases we have every day in our daily lives. It'll be interesting. We'll be talking about them later. The practical will come later.
Walking over a bridge. I won't walk over the bridge. Who cares?
Walk over the bridge. What?
I won't walk over the bridge. Everyone's walking over. I go some other way. I take a boat. Why am I allowed to do something because of dark?
No, I'm saying something else. You need to follow their laws. I wasn't talking about even the boat. The bridge. Anything which they tell me I must do, gotta listen to them.
They don't say that I must walk on the bridge.
Yeah, that's a good HaRav. Yeah, I understand. You want to know, in the case of Baba Basra, how does it apply, Shalom, with the Medina? Well, I guess when they set up a society with rules, and I followed, I hear in this particular case, just don't go on the bridge. You mean you'll swim to Staten Island? That's what you want to say? Okay, maybe. He'll swim to Staten Island. He ain't going on the Verrazano Bridge. I hear your horror, but like I said, I hear, but it's not because you have the other cases in the Gemara. You know, it's each case you could sit and pick. Is it mamish? But this is in general, more or less, in a broad sense. You live here, behave here. Okay. He's smiling. Let me tell you what you're smiling about. Because, you know, at 10 o'clock, everyone's going to tell me, and then we're going to get, all right. Now, there's a mabit in Zela, Perik Hey, Halachi Yechaz, and a guy in Shulchan Aruch, Shin Samach Tes, Islam and Gimla Chidush. Soim Tasim Alecha Melech, and you better listen to that Melech. Does it only, what, a Yiddish king? Even a Goyish king too. Soim, the halach is that the Torah weggestellt, that you gotta listen. You gotta be subordinate to a king, even a Goyish king. Chidush nifla, huh?
The pasuk.
Pasuk, yeah, but the pasuk is by Yiddish Melachim, and they're saying Parshas Melachim applies even to a Goyish king when you're in his domain. According to this, we could come and say maybe it's only then it's a king, it's a monarchy. Today there's a monarchy. Right? And I could talk about England with the Malka Chashuva, but in general, New York City, America, we have the concept of monarchy. Many Achronim ask that according to the Gaon, it has to have a Shem Melech. It has to be a Malchus with a Melech, maybe. Rashi, like I told you, says Shtori Hadyotis, Shtori Arkayis, has to do with Bezdin. Many Rishonim.
Prime Minister is not considered Malchus.
Okay, you know, we have a president. You want to call him a Melech? You Saim Tasim Alech a Melech?
He's like a Melech.
He's like a Melech. All right? So that is the famous...
Melech can't get impeached. Okay.
He knows that. Let me tell you, as the shit goes on, I have a lot of jokes about these things, but I'm going to keep it to There's a Rashi, like I said, that says that has to do with Bezdin. Many Rishonim learn that B'nai Noach mitzuvim aladinim, since the Torah tells the Malchus to set up Bati Dinim, so we need to listen to those Bati Dinim. So the origin of it is what? Min HaTorah. And that's your good question. You asked me, is it Min HaTorah or is it Midrabban Machlokes Rishonim? And it's based on this question. Is it because you have to have shalom, you have to have peace? So then it's only Drabanan, right? It's no Makar in the Torah, except after Recha Zayid. I don't know. It cannot be a Makar. But if it's Saim Tasim Alecha Melech, or it's B'nai Noach Mitzuvin Aladinim, and if they don't put dinim, they're chayiv misa min ha-Torah. So the origins of Dina Dmalchus Dina are where? In the Torah. The Rashbam in Baba Basra Nun Daled that I quoted to you is really, what do we call the makar, of where everyone starts from. Because they're the
The Rashbam is in one of the papers on Basra. The Rashbam.
says the Rashbam, taxes
Masim Arnonis.
and masa, noinis, whatever they talk. Yeah. I know. So he says the Yisoid. The Yisoid is Kiblu Hamadina. You accepted that. When you decide to live in a place, you've accepted, and all the people have accepted on themselves. In English, they call it a social contract. So we have two very fancy words, eminent domain and social contract. Those are the two things that everybody's going to say. Social contract. You live here, you've accepted.
Mekablim Aleihim.
Mekablim aleim. You see the words in the Rashbam? Mekablim, you've accepted.
Define an eminent domain. It's usually it's Baal Korcham. People scream Chai V'Kayim, your government's taking over my land. Because they want to build a wall, they want to build a bridge. That's Baal Korcham.
So let me tell you like
They're not
this.
being involved in
Okay, so let me tell you. So there's a Trumas Hadeshin that discusses your question.
Yeah, I agree to it.
Okay.
It's Koifin Hashem, right?
Basically saying I'm giving up my rights to them. I'm like,
Okay, so you know that there's going to be a lot of discussion that later. I'm just laying the groundwork first. You know I'm going to be tumbling and mixing and matching. We're going to get into this real good. I understand what you're saying, but let me tell you all about Trumas Hadeshin. I'm prepared for you. I come prepared for you. We know each other for many years. The Trumas Hadeshin says, what happens if a guy says, I don't accept the government?
Not Mekablim.
I'm a Democrat, Republican, Democrat. He's not my president. He is my president.
Right.
So the Trumas Hadeshin, we don't care. Why? First of all, who cares about you? Your father was here before you, maybe. He accepted the government. What was his name again? Roosevelt, but Yenevelt, but Develt. You have no idea. They worship Roosevelt. Yeah, but now they know what Roosevelt.
generations.
Yeah, three. I mean, that's basically the Roosevelt thing then. Yeah, all right. I'll upon him. Your father accept. Okay. And even if you're going to say that you did it, but you live here, so that means you accept it. So you're saying, Trumas Hadeshin, I didn't say it. When you live here, you accept.
It's part of the...
But this that you could scream Chai V'Kayim, that's one of your rights, and they're very kind for you to let you do that. The bottom line is, you're here, that means you accept to be here. And if you accept to be here, accept to be here. 100%. He don't. So after with the shit, you work it out.
so illegal on immigration is awesome.
As a lawyer, huh?
No,
A lawyer?
no.
This guy lawyer? Okay.
Are
Are you a lawyer? Are you a lawyer? Go defend me from him. You're my lawyer. Okay, go ahead. Now, the Rambam, let's talk Levice. Lass mich reden ein bisschen Levice hier. The Rambam sagt, yeah, what? You, Mekabel, tell me, whose money are you using? Tzolz Mishkalim or the Tzolz Medalarim? You accept it. If you're using the money of the Medina,
living here.
that means you accept to be here. I never saw a guy trade, if I stay for a bissel breiter, his chicken in the backyard. He's machle parah b'chamar. You're using the money here. And if you're using the money here, it's a Rambam, Zayla Perikei, you're zutzeichen the Rambam, I think. Rambam, Zayla Perikei, Allah Yitches. The fact that you're using the money of the place you're living in, that's a raya. That's a raya that you're mekabel, Says the Beis Yosef, so wait a minute. What is that a proof of? What is that a proof? Zok the Beis Yosef. First of all, he's a Chaishmish and Samatel. He says, B'Shem Dereim, the Medina is owned by the government. The Medina is owned by the government. They own it. It's Kani Lamelech. What becomes the shayla? Let's say a person, he's just traveling. He's traveling Europe. So there he also accepted. That's called, I live here, I accept. The Medina is owned by who? By them, by the government. I'm traveling through. And the Mela, therefore, what? That means I also accept. I live here, I accept. If I'm traveling and I'm passing by, how do we apply the svar of the Rishonim? So I spoke it over with many Rosh Hashivas, Paiskim over the years. And I think the pshat is the fact that you agree to pass into this place, that means you're mekabel, whatever this government that you're in is. Tell me, you're going to be using their police in case you need something. You'll be calling the police from there. That itself means you're mekabel. You don't have to have, what do we call it, birth. Birth. That you have a birth certificate living here. The fact that you come into another country and you're willing to.
You're relying on their services and you're relying on whatever.
That's l'chayra also.
Let's say I end up in an Arabic country or whatever we do.
So the fact that you went in there.
No, let's say I'm trying to get to another country. 100 years ago, I'm sneaking through Russia or whatever it is, then I wouldn't be obligated in such a case because.
I like your svara. That's really what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Maybe the laws of Dina Dmalchus has to have some kind of acceptance, and I'm searching for some kind of that you've accepted. And when I pass through, I usually accept
the services. I think whatever, even if you're going through it, you're.
But if you're saying that you're running and you're hiding and you're just maybe not. That's the svara.
The people of that country have to be accepting of the leader. Let's say there's a coup, there's a dictator that takes over. The people there, they don't want it. He took over, so they themselves didn't accept it.
Yes, so then a chanami. That would be the svara. If he's a melech. Now, first of all, let me tell you. There's an old famous Gaon. The Gaon says Ki Lashem Hamlucha or Meishel Bagayon. What's the chiluk between melech and Meishel? Ki Lashem Hamlucha or Meishel Bagayon. So he says that by Klal Yisrael, Mel's accepted. He's accepted by Hakadosh Baruch Hu. We accept. So Ki Lashem Hamlucha or Meishel. But over the Goyim, they don't accept him, so he's a Meishel. It doesn't say Dina de Meishel. It says Dina de Mal Chusa. It has to be some form of acceptance. If he's a ruler and he's a dictator, it's pashut, it's not accepted. It's I'm a chuv to listen to a dictator.
The Yerushalayim were living at a time when there were plenty of dictators. So they were talking about countries that were ruled by dictators.
I hear you, Ara, but it's very possible with all these dictators, there was a lot of benefits. And the people liked their dictator.
We can split hairs.
Yes, you could. And then and this is a big topic, we could talk for weeks. That's the shayla. All right, I hear. What's called malchusa? But I'm just trying to tell you the word is malchusa, not moishel. And there's a chiluk between a malchusa and a moishel. And where is this? That's the Gemara in Kuf Yud Gimel, where the Gemara says that, for example, in the Dharma it says by meches, it has to be that he's accepted. It has to be that there's some form of cheshbon in the laws. It's not time he's coming in and forcing everybody and putting laws on people that they can't accept. All right. That's the question. So let's discuss the famous shaila, and that is, does this apply in Eretz Yisrael? Why? The svara is that it's owned by the melech. The melech owns Beis Yosef, Madina's Kanui LaMelech, not in. Okay, I'm going to be careful. I am not discussing politics here, okay? I'm discussing Halacha L'Maisa. The Medina, let's just say the land. I want to be very careful here, Rabbi say, okay? The land is not owned by the government in Eretz Yisrael. You'll ask me, the Torah says, Nischalka L'Shvatim. When you own land, not in America, Rabbi say. People think I'm borrowing property. The Melech owns your property, lahalacha. In Eretz Yisrael, you're buying land by them. It's yours. Eretz Yisrael nischalka l'shvatim. And they're having very little kinyan, if any, over Eretz Yisrael's karka, the land itself. Government, no matter, I'm not going to get into the word government there, but I'll call upon him. The land is owned nischalka l'shvatim. So the Ran in the Dharam Chav Chesam and Aleph says clearly, and therefore in Eretz Yisrael there is no Dina Dmalchus Dina.
Even if you're not for that shit, you don't understand. You can randomly buy anywhere.
That's a good question, but whatever it is, the government definitely doesn't own it.
Okay. You said before that.
I wasn't discussing if you own it. I said you could own it. I see. I'm gonna have to take off my hat for this. Ahron,
Okay,
I'm
it's
getting.
a little bit of
They're giving me a run for my money.
That's
Okay,
all-
I'll
that's
upon him. Listen, and I say,
That's
the
what-
Ran
that's
Taka
fine.
Paskins that in Eretz Yisrael this doesn't apply.
Where's the Ran again?
Ran the Darm Chav Chesam and Aleph. The Rashbam argues. The Sam Soiv as a whole Arich Chayshmish Mitzim and Samach Dalit Nun Dalit that in Eretz Yisrael it does apply because again maybe it has a lot to do with the real svara of why Dina Dmalchus Dina. Is it that it's koni mamish to him, or that he has jurisdiction, the government? Eretz Yisrael, I mean, whatever it is, they have jurisdiction, and it does apply Dina Dmalchus Dina in Eretz Yisrael as well. Minig, the minig is that yes, there is Dina Dmalchus, as gebracht in Achronim, that today, even though we could start saying, well, the Ran, it's not koni, Lamaisa Dina Dmalchus Dina applies in Eretz Yisrael. That's what I just said. So come closer. Okay, that's exactly what we just said. Could be it's totally the shaila. Yeah, if it's about owning, then you have a run. If it's about social contract, I was the nafkamina.
We have Lamdanim here.
Very good, very good. Lemaisa, everything we spoke could be tied to money. That's what I think we were talking a little bit, right? It's about who owns and money and kinyanim and business. It's tied to money. What about Dina Dmalchus Dina when it's not a money issue? Does it apply for things which are also not money? Now, Rabbi said, let me discuss this. If you learn that the melech or the government, they're the bailim, they own your land, they don't own your money. They own your money. If anything, it's more about the land and what they could tell you to do on their land than what they could tell you to do about your money, right?
Stay on your ground. Stay your ground. Where it's coming from.
Stay your ground.
Yeah, you can with a firearm protect your property. In American level.
There's a certain law. He doesn't know the law. There's a certain law in some states
Yeah.
that to protect yourself, if you feel you're being challenged, you can take a gun and shoot that person. Yeah, stay in your ground. It's in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, it's like. But
You
I
mean
don't
you
think-
could could protect by
Right,
killing the other
right.
person.
Okay, but that's.
I don't know. Isdaim also had rules. No, I don't know. You want to know if Dina does Dina? Is that your question? I'm not. It's a different topic for a different day, I think, right?
Yeah.
And gun control, and I see there's a
Okay.
lot more in this question.
Okay.
All right. So here's the point. The point is, maybe we could come and say Dina Dmalchus Dina is more about the land because it's about Kenyan, and they don't own our money, right? There is a shita in the Rishonim.
Why taxes is money, isn't it?
But it could be it's about living in their property. It's living in their land.
So you're adding another svara.
Maybe. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get down to.
I mean, you just said money is not being the most convenient, so I'm asking about taxes.
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking. No, of course the Dmalchus is money. It's all money. The question is why. If you're going to learn the svara is that they own. It's about they owning something. Yeah, they don't own my money. They might own my land. They might own the streets, but they don't own my money. And yet we find that it applies to all cases of money. Dina Dmalchus may be more relevant than any other issue. It's a more money. It's all the cases about money. So I found a Rabbeinu Yaina. Rabbeinu Yaina says another svara. This is in Baba Basra and Dalet on the days. The Dina Malchus is hefker, bezin hefker, hefker, malchusa hefker. They can be mafker. They have the right to take from you. Just like a bezin has the right to be mafker, so they have rights on your money. You see, Rabbeinu Yaina is addressing money. We're going to make a 1-minute chazara on all of this because it's important to see it from all the different angles of how the Rishonim, Fataych, Dina, the Malchusa Dina. One thing you got to walk away with, there is a din called Dina Malchusa Dina, and you'll be surprised how many different factions of people will say, Dina Malchusa,
Why does he have to come on to that? Just be social contract.
it's machlokes Rishonim if that's what it is. I mean, so Shmuel gave us a beautiful shir for today. You know what he did? He said a halacha and didn't tell us why, which gives us all the open road, so to speak, to say and to learn. We don't know what Shmuel's halacha is.
Disagreed with social contracts for him?
Maybe. I don't know. I never spoke to Rabbeinu Yaina. How do I know? I mean, maybe.
Maybe others have the best and have isn't have the best and have the right source for that. The fact that best is not the real have the best and have
L'chayre, it's because there's halacha of Bezdin, right?
I don't know, the real have the best and have
Hefke is Bezdin. It's a din of Bezdin. That's a Bezdin halacha. Rabbi Sai, it's a big topic. And again, what I could do for you is two things. I could give you that you should have a broader scope of understanding what it is, and later you'll see how practical cases in our daily lives. It's so interesting, okay? And I do know that, what time does the sheriff end? When I'm done. Okay. I want to know what the Dina of the Dmalchus Dina about the time of the shir is. Okay, now, Rabbeinu Yaina, like I said, says that it has to do hefke bes and hefke. Many say it has to do with the Malchus that they own, the property, the government, it belongs to them, or it's about social contract, right? Like we spoke from the Rashbam. There's an interesting Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef says that it's only by kesef. Dina the Malchus Dina applies only by money. Doesn't apply to anything else. It's a Shin Samotetz, very interesting. Beis Yosef brings a lot of the Shitas. It's only by money. Why? You start hearing the Ran. It's about Hefker, Bez, and Hefker. So it's more about money than it is about anything else. So it's a whole different way of looking. Is Dina the Malchus Dina directly, I got to listen to my government? Or Dina the Malchus Dina, they have rights either on the land or on the money. There's a Peldik Rajba in Yevomis Nunvav Amid Aleph, and the Chazon Ish goes with this. It's a very interesting Rajba, and the Chazon Ish deals with this lahalacha. The people are kani lamelech. You're owned by the government. The government owns you, so they have the right to tell you what to do. That's a very interesting, huh? You're going to look it up. You're going to work on it. It's a very interesting topic. No, so over the years, we're good, right? Over the years, it's a Rajbi Yevamis Nuvav Aml Chaznish Likutim Chaysh Mishpet Tezayin Tes. So over the years, I've asked Tezayin Tes. They own you. The government. So I asked the question. I mean, where democracy is the hepech of the whole constitution is they don't own you.
Maybe communism, capitalism.
Capitalism. Yeah. Well, okay. So you know that I've worked on this for years, and I came up with a shtickle of mahalach rabbis, and I think it's glot. There's an interesting Rosh in the Darim Perikei, Ois Yud Aleph. They could expel you. That's called they have rights over you. And I think that's what it means. It doesn't mean they own you. They own you legally to tell you what to do. They could tell you to leave. You like that. That's a good svara. Now we're going to go into what? Immigration and the border. This you'll go home and deal with it as a social project, a social science project later. But you see, is it about the money? So let's see a klor, Rabbi, before we get into the examples. Lamaisi, you ready? Yeah? Rabbi say. Dina Malchus Dina. Yes. Don't play around with people. That big deal. I went to Paiskim and then they went, you know what that Mehechatesa really is? Either because they don't know the sugya, or Mehechatesa is because it's not clear what it refers to.
Very ambiguous.
So let's say either the pshat is because Dina Malchus Dina, you accept it. Dina Malchus Dina is the courts. What about if it's not in the court? What about its rules that have nothing to do with court? Maybe then there's no Dina Malchus Dina. Maybe Dina Malchus Dina means that the melech has the right. Do we have a melech today? Is Dina the Malchus Dina means that they own the karka? Is Dina Malchus Dina that they own the? Do they own you? It's not clear what the Dina the Malchus Dina is, and Shmuel just left it without an explanation. Okay, so let me give you a few examples that have come up over the years. Interesting examples. Somebody called me with a shayla. He passed a stop sign. The cop, listen, you passed the stop sign. He wants to give him a ticket. The guy's begging, please don't give me the tickets. It's points and my parents and blah, 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 shma, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the cop tells him, just plead not guilty. So I started writing the ticket, plead not guilty. Yeah? And once you go plead not guilty, you go in front of the judge. If I say maybe I won't show up, I'll be drunk that. No, you didn't tell me that. Right? Whatever. You waste a ticket, a traffic ticket. All right? Maybe you won't get the points off. Could you plead not guilty if you're guilty? I mean, but you are guilty. How can you plead not guilty and try to get away with it? If the Dina Dmalchus Dina is, you're not allowed to do this traffic violation, and you got caught doing it. And his other shaila, which I was even surprised about, is it emes? Is it shah? Oh, I go, boy, he's like, what the bucket? Bachman Yeshiva. They're good, very, very proud. You're saying good. So let me start by telling you that, listen, I knew this guy, he's going to get it from his parents. I knew this. I knew what was going to happen. So I had to find some kind of a... So I said to him, listen, I love that you had such a HaVamin, at least to be emes, but it has to do with the system. They don't care if you don't get... If on a technicality they let you off, they'll let you off. So pleading not guilty doesn't mean I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. I want a case. I want to go in front of a judge. That's all it means. It doesn't... No, you're not masking? It doesn't...
I'm not, sir.
No. The lawyer, I have to be very careful here. Yeah? When you plead not guilty, that's what you were saying. No, that was not the swear you were saying. When you plead not guilty, what are you're saying you're not guilty? You're saying, I want to see if I can get...
hearing.
I want to have a hearing. That's it. Nishmer, yeah?
You drive through a red light and nobody sees you, nobody catches you. I mean, you call up, find out how much I owe you, and call your insurance company and tell them, please put points on my license.
You don't do that? Okay.
I didn't say I don't.
Lying is the license.
I'm getting back. Lying is the right. You see, now I was wondering why you're sitting next to me. I couldn't figure out why is this sitting next to me. Yes! I agree with you. I can't tell you I haven't done it in the past. All right, listen. I stopped doing stuff like that. You tell the truth, you tell the truth. I don't know. My Rebbe Rapam probably would have said, yeah, I did it wrong. Now, to call up, there's something called Hafkas Halva, and we're going to talk about that. That's a big part of this sugya, which we'll get to later. I'll call upon him. Reb Shlomo Miller was in my shul this Shabbos. He's the...
But you're not backtracking. You're saying not guilty doesn't mean that you're not guilty.
Yeah, you ask for a hearing. And if in the legalities, he wrote the wrong date, so that's the law, that you're not chayiv. That's it.
Law says you're innocent until proven guilty. They have to prove that you're guilty. So what's the shot? Let's start.
Very good.
Very good. They're good.
The problem is,
I'm in law school.
Hold on, but if you know, I know, but let's say you know for sure you're guilty. You know for sure you're guilty. You're right. You weren't proven in the court, but you know for sure.
Some water.
Okay.
Because we're just getting into it.
That's
Okay,
very
now.
good.
All right, here's another shaila.
Good.
Sick days. Vacation days. It's legal, right? It's a vacation day.
Vacation days.
It's rule. Medina to Medina, huh?
Very soon, everyone is going to have 10 vacation days, no matter what you do.
Oh, I thought 10 work days. I thought the rule was going to be. I thought soon they're going to have that 10 days a year you got to work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Akapanim, vacation days. I don't want to give it, and the guy's maskim, b'di'eved, bakarche. So if it's a guy, he's not going to be maskim. I'll take you to court. Am I mechuyev to give you vacation days?
Oh, it's an owner of a business.
Dina Dmalchus Dina. Okay. So again, I asked Reb Shlomo Miller this. He was in my shul. So right, I was Zoiche Punkt this Shabbos. He was there, and he was there for a whole Shabbos. So I asked him every one of them. I just kept on saying, Rabbi, what are you tying? I've Bez in the lake with Shlomo Miller. Okay. So he told me, first of all, vacation, sit. We give Yom Tiv. Get the Yom Tiv.
That's
So that's it. That's your vacation day. So it's not so relevant.
From own business.
Can I? Here's a better question. Can I give less than minimum wage?
Thank you.
So, the truth is, what's the shaila? Let me tell you. The question is there a din, Dmalchus Dina, in a private transaction between two people? So we found in the case of the shtaris, right? With the kinyanim, the karka, that they hold you need a shtar, it doesn't work. Yeah, but the question is, so it doesn't work. It's not a question of it's usher. The Gemara never really said over there usher or not usher. It says it doesn't work. It's not a kinyan. You could go and claim it's not a kinyan because you didn't have the legal papers behind it. Is it usher? It's business. I'm allowed to accept. He accepted. I accepted. Yes. Yeah.
What happens if you come to a transaction and say, well, you can either write me a check and I'll pay tax, or you can give me cash
That's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, and that's where Hafkas Halva comes in. Rabbi Ahron is this loaded stuff.
Yes. I hope Shlomo Miller helped you out.
A little bit. More on the Machmir side of this, but all right, yeah.
Clarify. You're saying when they have a private deal,
I'm getting
accept
excited.
less than- accept less than the minimum wage. No problem.
Oh yeah, maybe not.
1 second.
Yeah.
If the government finds out, will they come after you? I'm just asking.
She's saying Ava Shalom. That's what you mean, that part.
Possibly.
On that side.
So maybe they won't find out about it.
Private deal, so it's not us, sir.
Right, but they won't.
Could come after.
That's right. But maybe they won't find out about it. I mean, how would they find out about it? Huh?
Isn't that Dina
So that's the question. What is, again, every case I'm going to give you, you're going to tackle it with all the information above. What is Dina Dmalchus Dina, and how far does it rule every activity and action that I do in the country that I'm in? Is business between two Yidden included? Chazon hold no. Chazon says no. Maybe between Yidden and Goyim. Whole different topic maybe. But between two Yidden, private business, up to Chazon Ish, it's not negay. I'm allowed to make this.
Somebody sells a house to another Yid. The guy can come back and say, you got to report the deed, you did all that. But you weren't, you didn't make a deed, you didn't make anything. You have a signed investment, so you have to give him his house.
That's what it seems from the Gemara, that he could come and claim Dina Dmalchus Dina. Now I want to discuss further. Let me tell you something. There's a lot more layers to this topic that I will give you. I will uncover. Here, let's talk about, for example, like I said, paying cash in the store, right? So let me tell you something called Hafkas Halva. Hafkas Halva means you're not allowed to steal from a guy. Yes, you're not allowed to steal from a guy. And nobody holds you allowed to steal from a guy. It's not true. There's no such thing. Tayasakum, maybe, if he makes a mistake, you keep it. Halacha tells you not to keep it. You'll never see bracha. The Sma brings down, no one ever saw bracha from Tayas. And then there's Kiddush Hashem to return it. But there's something called Hafkas Halva. If I don't directly steal, I just avoid not paying what I have to pay. The Gemara in Baba Kama there says, Hafkas Halva is mutter. Hafkas Halva is mutter. I'm not telling you it's a good thing, it's a nice thing, it's not exela. So many learn that the not paying in a tax on a store is called Hafkas Halva. What does that mean? He's money. He's teveh. The government's being teveh or something, and I just ignore it.
It's like a choiv. It's a choiv.
It's a chayv.
And he's not paying the choiv.
Now again, I'm not telling you to do this. Please don't walk out and say, Rabbi, I didn't say anything. Okay, I'm so far just giving you the whole background information. You want to come to me privately? I'll tell you what I think or what I don't think. It's not. But this is the secret ingredient in the sugi, and that's called Hafkas Halva. Yes.
Very often on the trains, along the railroad, the conductor does not come by and collect your ticket.
That's right.
Is that Hafkas Halva?
Yes. That's a perfect example.
Did the Chafetz Chaim rip up the stamps? There's a famous story that the guy...
Did I tell you to be Hafkas Halva? I told you not. I didn't tell you to do it. You should be the Chafetz Chaim. So Zoiche sein the Chafetz Chaim. Please. I tell you to do it. All right, you guys got me in a good moment. I want to tell you a good story.
Good Maisa.
Good to Maisa. Yeah, Baron, you see. I thought the whole thing was a one shame of Maisa about taxes. Okay. So listen to a Maisa, yeah? I have a letter from my Zayder Reb Shmuel David Walkin. A guy asked him about a certain business, and it was a little bit of a shrewd, my Zayder writes to him, Tamu ani alecha, shneinenu, both of us, yashavnu eitzel hachofetz chayim, we were both in Radin. And you saw the Rebbe, and you heard from the Rebbe, and you asked me if you could do a shady business. You don't remember the stamp story, that he went and he ripped up the stamp? What am I trying to tell you? If you know the story of the Chafetz Chaim, yes, you should not be doing anything I said here today. You should say, I'll pay and I'll give and I'll do. You're right, but we're not living in the world of the Chafetz Chaim.
We wish.
We wish. It's definitely an ideal to get to. The question is basic, halacha, mutter, or aser. And there's a sugya called Hafkas Halva, and it applies to a lot of, with the taxes and so on and so forth. It's enough said on this part of the topic.
Since
Copy.
Free for all. If the Chafetz Chaim, they're thinking, if
Where does it say in the shir that it's a free-for-all? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the topic here. I saw Dina Dmalchus and Dina. There's rules here. Well, okay.
It's not.
Not free-for-all. I don't know what he's talking about. Tatla, what should I tell you? The world of the Chafetz Chaim, halavai. Okay, Reb David, for you I would believe it. If you would come and tell me that you would do this, on you I'd believe. Let's move on. Copyright laws.
You ever heard from Isaiah what exactly the story was? What was the story?
That's the story. The story was it came to him. I heard that it came to him. The guy returned the Svarim. That's what I heard from Isaiah. The guy returned the Svarim. There was no stamp on it. So he was sending it. It wasn't even the pshat he sent the safe. The guy was sending it back. But the Chafetz Chaim felt that it was sending it for him.
And the post office made a mistake.
Made a mistake, yeah.
Delivered it without. Okay, all right.
That's the way,
The
huh?
story gets misquoted.
That's what I'm telling you, something. All right, whatever. Okay, let's move on, okay? As they say in Yiddish, Tziazoy and Tziazoy, halavai, we should be the Chafetz Chaim. No matter what that story is, they don't say it about me and you. Or about you, they don't say it about me. Now, let's talk about Dina Dmalchus against the mitzvah. Of course not, right? For example, if the Dmalchus tells me no Mila, no Mitzitza, that's Klarfin, Tashbatz, Chelik Aleph, Siman Kuf Nun Ches. They can't override. And why is it even a discussion? Because if Dina Dmalchus Dina is the Raisa, so that's even why it's somewhat of a discussion when they have Dina Dmalchus against mitzvahs, against things, rules.
The government
no
says you
Mitzitza.
can't do mitzvah, can't do Mila.
Okay. Now here's an interesting shaila that the Pischei Tshuva in Yeridea.
But by Shlita, for example, I can just do Shlita in a different state and bring it in. Maybe that's the difference. Mila, what?
The rule in general, I understand what you want, but the rule in general is they can't dictate mitzvahs. But let me tell you where it's an interesting shaila. You know, Pidyon Aben, we all know we look for the coins. What happens if you don't have the coin? You could definitely pay money. Why are we paying money? Remember the Rambam says it works on Dina Dmalchus Dina, especially today, the dollar. But it doesn't, it's not backed by anything.
What do you mean on the dollar itself?
It's not backed by anything, huh? So here's the shaila. Could I use Dina Dmalchus Dina that it's money?
You mean you use the Dmalchus for your positive, that's
For your positive mitzvahs. So there's an interesting Pischei Tshuva, and he says, could be you shouldn't use dollar bills for Pidyon Haben. Now you're starting to see Adina Malchus Din. Okay, so then it's Shavah Kesef, maybe.
It was worth money, right? It's gold.
Okay.
It was backed by the gold, right?
Copyright laws, Bekitzer. I don't want to go into a whole arichas of copyright laws, but there is a Beis Yitzchak that says it's based on Dina Dmalchus Dina. You look in the back in the Sfarm, they say, according to the rights of Bed Leumi, the right, copyright.
The copyright.
So it's a Beis Yitzchak, okay? Yeridea. Simen Reish Ayin Hey. Simen Reish Ayin Hey, Beis Yitzchak. The nafkamina would be very simple. If you learn copyright is about stealing from the other guy, so it's even a pruta. It's even 1 penny, which means even a syllable of a song. If he's makbid, he's makbid, right? A small line from a safe. If he's makbid, he's makbid. The question is, it's not really halach. It's very hard to understand that there's kinyanim and there's gzela. So you say it's then only what the copyright laws are. Whatever, according to the law, is aser, that would be aser. So again, you see a very big nafkamina. If it's copyright has to do with Dina Dmalchus Dina, then it's only according to what the law forbids. All right. Let's talk about, as they say, tzidkis dikefes. Recycling laws. Am I mechuyev to recycle? They want it, they tell me it's laws. I get a ticket for it, I think, right? Yeah. So, am I mechuyev to recycle? Anybody ever thought about that? What? No, I know I can get away with it. Am I mechuyev to recycle? All right. Let me discuss with you recycling in a few minutes, but I want to talk how this could be very interesting. Wills, for example. A secular will is not according to Torah Allah. Yes, what is it?
Why are you skipping recycling?
Because I have, unfortunately, sometimes it's early in the morning and
You know what they call the cost of doing business?
The what?
I'll get caught once in a while, but it's worth not recycling.
Yeah, but the question maybe it's also to do because it's Dina Malchusa. All right. So let's talk about an interesting thing, the secular wills. I don't know if you know that in the Torah, Bechar gets Pishnayim, a girl is not a Yairish. So what happens if you put and you make a secular will and you want it that should be according to the will that you made? So we spoke that L'chayra there's a Ramah, and the Chazon Ish follows this between two Yidden. There is no Dina Dmalchus Dina. How does this apply between me and my child? So L'chayra there's no Dina Dmalchus Dina. So the Achiezer, it's got the truth for a Moshe, but it's really it was before him. The Achiezer, Mitzvah L'kaim Divrei Ames. See, you got to put that into the equation. There's a Mitzvah L'kaim Divrei Ames. If somebody signs a secular will, so it could be binding because of Mitzvah L'kayim Divrei Ames, even if it's Keneged the halacha.
Really?
That's the question. That's the whole question. Dina Malchus Dina legal document, but it's Shaloi Halacha.
It's like a Torah.
But Mitzvah L'kayim Divrei Ames. And I'm not going to get in more than that. It's a big topic. It's a tshuva from the Reshiva. They need a license. Are you allowed to do real estate without a license? I mean, they definitely have the rights in the commerce. They have the right to put rules. So l'chayr be aser. I don't know.
I mean, to pose yourself as a broker, you're not a broker.
No, they do it.
Broker.
I mean, people do it. Whether they work as a broker. Are you allowed to do it if you don't have a license? Legally, you're not allowed to. Makes sense that it's Dina Malchus that you shouldn't be allowed to do it. Now let's go back to the recycling, okay? You know, the oldest thing was when we were kids, the jaywalking. All right? The jaywalking. They hold it's aser, and it's still on the books, I think. Are they still, right? Still on the books, the jaywalking?
They don't give tickets for it.
But you don't get a ticket for it. So you don't enforce it. So let's talk about it. Are you allowed to speed? Are you allowed to speed? There's nobody on the road. Are you allowed to speed? Now, if you're somebody else on the road, and you're also speeding in a way that you're putting yourself in danger, you're a Russian or Reitzach. So to remember that. I didn't say you're allowed to overly speed. But you're allowed to go over the speed limit. So Rav Scheinberg, ZATZAL, it's a famous psak from Rav Scheinberg, and he says that they only ticket, I think, up to 10.
Usually 10 miles. 10 miles.
So
That's
till
what the camera
10 miles
takes.
you're allowed to go, because they don't ticket that.
The camera takes the picture.
55, they don't ticket till 65.
Right.
65, you're not allowed to go, but only because they ticket it.
That's where the enforcing.
That's
is
where the
Dina.
enforcing comes in, all right? So here's really my shaila. When they tell you 55, it's really because they want that you should 65, but if you're going to tell you 65, you go 75.
Right.
So they tell you 55. Or maybe even 55 is aser.
Well, if they want to give you a ticket for a mile more, they can do it too if they want.
But
If they want.
But he says normally, there's no tendency. There's no that's a Schreiber's thing. This is the.
Okay, so becomes a shaila when they enforce or when they don't. I'll give you a good example. Are you allowed to build a sukkah in the front, on government in the street? You're not allowed to, but they don't say anything.
They give you a week to take it down.
Right.
They give you a week to
And then
exactly.
it's over.
Hey, wink, wink. You have a week to take, especially if you're in Williamsburg, right? That's the point. The point is there a problem of Dina Dmalchus Dina? You're not allowed to do it. You know, you don't even realize that in Jackson, near Iraq Kodesh,
Near Lakewood, Iraq Kodesh.
yeah, you're not allowed to have a sukkah in your backyard. Zoning laws. And it was a big shaila. What do you do? Wow, huh? Now you're starting to understand. Yeah? Dina Malchus Dina. Maybe I should find a place to put up my sukkah on my porch, huh? So one thing I can tell you, I don't think they enforce. I don't think they're going to come in and stop you. So then again, it has to do with will they enforce it or won't they enforce it? All right. Are you allowed to claim bankruptcy? It's an old shaila.
They made a law that it's a certain size, so they told people they can make two the same size and attach a door in between.
Right, it's like the cop who told you, go plead not guilty, you won't get points. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm just bringing up how you see this is a relevant shaila if you take it serious, Dina Malchus Dina. Now, are you allowed to claim, let's go fast. Are you allowed to claim bankruptcy? Well, halavai, you should never have to. You should all be zeicha. Give him a bracha already while we're at it. Okay. Now, I do want to tell you there's something called Siddur L'Bal Chayv. People don't know this. It's a Chaysh Mishpat Siman Tzadik Zayin that if a guy can't pay, we make a repayment plan. There is something called a payment plan that you can pay it over a certain amount of years. It's called Siddur L'Bal Chayv. But you're not potter. You're not that you don't have to pay it ever. So the question is bankruptcy. You say, I don't pay, I don't have to pay, I don't have it, goodbye and good luck. So Shiva Moshe ZATZAL, very famous tshuva, says you're allowed to claim bankruptcy. That even though in halacha you owe the money to the guy, and we know that there's no Dina Malchusa Keneged halacha, the Torah, but here there's halacha. Why? Because Dina Malchusa in business, there's a concept of Dina Malchusa commerce. Either because you accept to do business in the land as the business rules, or lamaisa they have some kind of
I
kayach.
mean, even the creditor.
Sir, you're not happy with the psak. What is? Talk to me. This is pashut. It depends on what side you're on. It's very pashut when you're the guy claiming bankruptcy. This guy.
The creditor. What are you saying? You're saying
losing
the
his money.
creditor accept. You're saying the creditor accepted when he went.
So that's a chiddush. I know it's so pashut. It was a big tumult for many years. Okay, let's move on. Price regulations. That's what we're talking about. To Yidden.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like credit card companies or whatever.
No, I'm talking about the two Yidden, two guys. Of course, their rules are their rules. No, but the two Yidden. The two Yidden claim bankruptcy. That's the shaila. Halavai should never happen. Price regulations. Price regulations. The government tells me I can only sell this for a certain amount. There is such a thing still today, or does really not apply? It doesn't apply so much? Price gouging? Okay.
Rent regulations.
All right, let's talk about Ayidish Machla. Late payment. Late payment. There's a clause. There's something called a late payment clause. Okay? So, you signed in the contract. It's part. Now, let me tell you a big rule. A lot of times you're going to scream, halachas, medina machusa, and go to Dini Torah. Read the fine print of what you signed. Remember that. That's a lot. A lot of times you're going to come, I saw this halacha and this, and screaming, yelling. Rabbi Yid, you sign things. When you sign certain things, so the question is, late payment, I think, is in the contract. Some of them have it in the contract. Okay, what happens if it's not in the contract? Okay, so there's an interesting chazanish, and those in the Likutim. So chazanish says, between two Yidden, it's not binding. So if they're going to come and claim there's a late clause, this, that, and I'm sorry, Dina Dmalchus Dina does not apply between two Yidden. Okay. You know, let me tell you, when you find something, you need to return it. Hashavas Haveda. What happens if it's in a Goyish neighborhood? You're not mechuyev to me. But the law is that you have to. What do you mean? The laws you have, it doesn't make a difference. American law, you have to return. What do you mean? There's laws. You're fine, you have to return.
They're never enforced.
Right, they're never. Right.
Yes, okay, yeah, but if you get caught, it can be enforced. What do I mean? It's not enforced because they can't catch you. It's not enforced, they don't care. How about you found it, it's a Yid's, and it's after Yush. It's after Yush. Lalach, it's yours. Lalach, it's yours. Yeah?
In the case where halacha it's yours because it was Yish, Yidamaisa.
You need a double. No, you need also
You need a Shidamaisa, let's say
Whatever it is, you got it all. It's all there.
Let's say there was. Let's say Yish in Rishus, but in America you still have to return it.
usually you find a backpack, you find something.
Okay, so let me tell you an interesting thing. Before you get to your story, you return it to the police. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to enjoy it. That could be somewhat of a heter not to return. If you know that it's going to get back to the guy who lost it, then anachanami. But if you return it, they don't know who it is. You know where it's going? Halavai is going into the back of over there where the police and then in a box somewhere. Okay, they're never going to find the guy and it's never going to return it.
There's no simon, you have to return it.
What do you mean by a guy?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No simon on it.
What do you mean?
No
No
name on whatever
and if there is a name, well, of course you have to return. The laws of the land, you have to return it. What do you mean?
I understand.
Some guy leaves something in your what you call it, in your taxi. Of course you have to return it. What do you mean? Okay, let's talk about vaccination. And let's not talk about that. I don't want to get involved, but I could just tell you that a big part of that sugya is Dina, the Malchusa Dina.
And by the way, the anti-vaxxers made a big push.
Told you I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get vaccinated for talking about vaccination. All I can tell you is a good svar that you need to know. You know, they always say that they can't force me, you hear? Why? Because of pikuach nefesh, right? And tamim tiyem Hashem alikecha. That's their big, I don't have to vaccinate. I'll say, Tom Tiyam Hashem Elokecha,
Hashem will protect.
and Hashem will protect me.
Stewardess died, by the way.
Maybe do the other way around. Maybe take the vaccination, and
Hashem
Dina,
will protect you.
and Hashem will protect you
from that.
From that, I don't. How do you know which side do you come in? I'm not saying it. Please don't get me involved in this. But Kapanim, I just want to tell you that Dina Dmalchus Dina is very relevant. Final last halacha, 10:15. That was the cutoff time. I learned over the years how to do it exact. All right, Rabbi Isai. Let me give you a story. All right, you want to say one story? No, your story before my story. After go.
My parents was once on a train. He with his son. They lost something. He went to the special place where you get it and to pick it up. And while he was there, he saw they had a small Sefer Torah that was there
In the lost and found.
lost and found. So somehow he figured out when he goes to auction, remember, he bought it, and he held it for many years, and he wouldn't even use it. And then one time, Sofer told his son about a guy who lost his serpent on a train, and they found the guy, and they gave it back to him.
Beautiful. Let me just end with the following, because like I said, I want to keep to the 10:15, the cutoff point. Ma'aseh Shehaya. When we got married originally, many years ago, we lived in a yeshivish apartment. I don't want to tell you, it happened to have been in Queens, in a good neighborhood in Queens, in Kew Garden. Mice galore. We had a lot of haknosas archim there. We had a lot of unwanted guests, all right? Extermination. And now, who pays for that extermination? Who has to? Is it the landlord or the person, the tenant, the guy who's living there? So tell me the Dina Dmalchus Dina is? That's right.
Wow, he knows.
Everybody knows. Anybody who has one of these apartments knows, okay? Ahron, you don't know anymore. Ahron, you don't know anymore. But you forgot. That's the real story. You forgot. Okay. So let me just tell you that I was by Reb Chatzkel Roth at the time, and there was such a big vikuach, a landlord, even the mice themselves didn't kill each other so much. It was so, a mice with a mice. It was mice over mice, and who has to pay and how much, and it was a lot of money. All right, and they were both Jungelite. The tenant usually is also, okay. Kitzer, so the guy came and claimed, Dina Dmalchus Dina, you got to pay for it. He came back and he said, that's what your Rav said. I went to my Rav. Today there's something called my Rav. My Rav said that I'm not mechuyev to pay. So I said, what? I'm mechuyev, nishmechiyev. I met this Rav, and I said to him, tell me, did you really say he's not mechuyev? The owner.
The landlord's not mechuyev.
Not mechuyev. Did you say it? He says, I go, is that yes or no? I wasn't sure what that was exactly. Listen what he tells. And if I did say it's a now, okay, which means he learned over the years to plead the fifth. All right? So I tell him, what do you mean? But there's Dina Dmalchus Dina. So he says to me, wer sucht? I said, where are you living? Are you living? Where are you? Which country are you living in that Dina Dmalchus doesn't apply to you? So he says to me, when Sedu Amakas Medina, there's no halacha because you were mekabel on yourself, and therefore that's part of the Kabbalah. If you're mekabel on yourself not to follow in business Dina Dmalchus Dina, that's the rule. You mekabel, that's what you mekabel on yourself. That's what he said. I'm just telling you a story.
That mice run over their apartment?
No, but then you have to pay for it. Now, why? Let's talk a minute. If it's Makas Medina, you could always come and say, it's not me, it's you. We're all in this. There is such a halacha. It's not the time to details of this point. All I'm trying to bring out is that he was explaining that sometimes when you do business and it's understood that we're not going to follow Dina Dmalchus Dina,
Meaning both of them understood that the Kabbalah.
Or the rent wasn't being declared and it was off the books. In that situation, then you can't tell me the government said.
Meaning if it was
I
built,
love you.
It was built.
I love you. You finished and you on the shir.
You're right,
Rabbi
but
Isai,
If it was
I wish you all.
Right.
Yes.
And everything was like, you're right, might be different.
Maybe different. Maybe
That's
different.
what
The
he said.
point they were trying to say is you can't scream Dmalchus Dina
If the other
you yourself
80% were not doing it.
if you sped to get to the
Right.
court,
Exactly.
this guy was speeding in,
Right.
in an
I
illegal
understand.
car to get to
No,
the thing,
no,
and
but-
schreit
no.
Chai v'kayim
No,
in
but-
Dmalchus
But this
Dina.
particular, same thing in this particular
Zay
farmer.
matzliach, Rabbi, you love
It's-
Mitzvah
it's-
Hashem.
it's-
Hope you come back again. Zay matzliach.